The year was 1948. It was a time of great change and uncertainty, a period marked by the shadows of a war that had only recently ended. The world was grappling with the aftermath of a devastating war. Cities lay in ruins, economies were shattered, and millions of lives had been irrevocably altered. A new conflict, however, was brewing. The ideological battle between the capitalist West and the communist East was beginning to take shape. This was the Cold War, a war not fought with bullets and bombs, but with propaganda, espionage, and the ever-looming threat of nuclear annihilation. In this era of mistrust and suspicion, a seemingly routine flight over Europe would end in tragedy, a flight that would become a symbol of the tensions of the time. This event would etch one name into the annals of Cold War history: Ernest C. Fiebelkorn, a name that would come to represent the human cost of this ideological struggle. Fiebelkorn, an American pilot, became a symbol of the escalating tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. His story is one of bravery, duty, and the tragic consequences of a divided world. His story serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the human cost of ideological conflicts. It is a tale that underscores the importance of diplomacy and the perils of miscommunication. On April 8, 1948, Fiebelkorn and his crew vanished over the Baltic Sea. Their mission was routine, but the outcome was anything but. Their disappearance sparked an international incident, exposing the deep divisions and mistrust that defined the Cold War. It was a moment that highlighted the precarious nature of international relations at the time. This essay delves into the life and tragic end of Ernest C. Fiebelkorn, examining the events leading up to his fateful flight and the profound impact his disappearance had on the course of history. It is a story that offers valuable lessons for today's world. Fiebelkorn's story is a sobering reminder of the ever-present dangers of miscalculation and the importance of clear communication in a world teetering on the brink. It is a narrative that resonates with the challenges we face today. Fiebelkorn's story is not just about a single incident. It is a reflection of the broader Cold War dynamics, a microcosm of the larger geopolitical struggle that defined an era. It is a microcosm of the larger Cold War narrative, a narrative that includes espionage, superpower rivalry, and the constant threat of nuclear annihilation. It is a story of espionage, superpower rivalry, and the constant threat of nuclear annihilation, a story that reminds us of the high stakes of international politics. It is a story that continues to resonate today as we navigate a world grappling with new geopolitical challenges and the lingering spectre of conflict. The lessons of the past remain relevant, urging us to strive for a more peaceful and cooperative future. Ernest C. Fiebelkorn was a man who answered his nation's call. From a young age, he was captivated by the idea of flight, often gazing at the sky and dreaming of soaring among the clouds. Born and raised in the United States, he had always dreamed of taking to the skies. His fascination with aviation grew stronger with each passing year, fueled by the stories of pioneering aviators and the sight of planes flying overhead. World War II provided him with that opportunity, albeit under the direst of circumstances. The world was engulfed in conflict, and the need for skilled pilots was greater than ever. Fiebelkorn enlisted in the US Army Air Forces, eager to contribute to the fight against tyranny. He was determined to make a difference, to be part of something larger than himself. He excelled in training, proving himself a skilled and capable pilot. His instructors took note of his natural talent and unwavering dedication, and he quickly rose through the ranks. His abilities earned him a coveted spot in the cockpit of a transport aircraft. While many aspired to be fighter pilots, Fiebelkorn understood the critical importance of transport missions. While not as glamorous as flying a fighter plane, Fiebelkorn understood the vital importance of his role. Transport pilots were the lifeline of the war effort, ensuring that troops, supplies and equipment reached their destinations. He ferried troops, supplies and the wounded across war-torn Europe, playing a crucial role in the Allied victory. His missions were often perilous, flying through hostile skies and landing in dangerous territories. With the war in Europe over, Fiebelkorn could have returned home a hero. He had served his country with honor and distinction, and many of his comrades were eager to return to civilian life. He could have hung up his flight suit and enjoyed a well-deserved respite. The nation was grateful, and the future seemed bright for those who had survived the war. However, the world remained a volatile place. The end of World War II did not bring lasting peace, but rather a new era of tension and uncertainty. The Soviet Union, once an ally against Nazi Germany, had emerged as a new threat. The ideological divide between East and West grew deeper, and the spectre of communism loomed large. The Iron Curtain descended across Europe, dividing the continent and ushering in a new era of global confrontation. The Cold War had begun, and the world was once again on edge. Fiebelkorn, compelled by a sense of duty and perhaps a thirst for adventure, chose to stay in Europe. He understood that the fight for freedom was far from over, and he was not one to shy away from a challenge. He joined the ranks of the newly formed United States Air Force, tasked with maintaining a presence in the skies over a divided Germany. His experience and skills were invaluable in this new theatre of operations. Little did he know that his decision would place him at the heart of a burgeoning conflict. The Cold War would test his resolve and push him to new heights as he navigated the complexities of a world on the brink of another great struggle. Post-war Germany became a microcosm of the global power struggle, reflecting the larger tensions of the era. The country was divided, occupied by the victorious Allied powers, each with their own agenda. The United States, Great Britain and France controlled the western sectors, while the Soviet Union occupied the east, creating a stark contrast. Berlin, the former capital, lay deep within Soviet-controlled territory, a precarious island of Western influence within a sea of communism and tension. Tensions between the former Allies escalated rapidly, leading to a new kind of conflict. The Soviets, under the leadership of Joseph Stalin, tightened their grip on Eastern Europe, installing puppet regimes and suppressing dissent with an iron fist. The United States, fearing the spread of communism, responded with a policy of containment, seeking to limit Soviet influence and promote democracy worldwide. In this atmosphere of suspicion and mistrust, every interaction between the East and West was fraught with potential for misunderstanding and dangerous escalation. Military aircraft, in particular, became symbols of strength and resolve, representing the might of their respective nations. The skies over Germany were often filled with the roar of engines, as both sides sought to assert their dominance and monitor the other's activities closely. It was in this powder keg of a world that Ernest C. Fiebelkorn found himself stationed, his once routine flights now taking on a new and dangerous significance, fraught with peril. April 8th, 1948, dawned like any other day at the American Air Base in occupied Germany. The air was crisp, and the first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of orange and pink. The sun rose over the tarmac, casting long shadows from the parked aircraft. The scene was serene, almost picturesque, as if the world had momentarily forgotten the tensions that still simmered beneath the surface. Mechanics went about their duties, their wrenches clanging a familiar rhythm. The sound was a comforting reminder of routine and normalcy, a stark contrast to the chaos of war they had all experienced not too long ago. For Ernest C. Fiebelkorn and his crew, it was to be a routine mission, a milk run, as they called it. They had done this countless times before, and there was no reason to believe today would be any different. Their aircraft, a C-47 Skytrain, sat prepped and ready. This reliable plane had seen them through many missions, and it was a trusted companion in the skies. The C-47, a workhorse of the war, had been repurposed for peacetime duties. It had carried troops and supplies during the war, and now it was tasked with more mundane but equally important missions. On this day, its cargo hold was filled with nothing more threatening than mail and supplies destined for Berlin. Letters from loved ones, essential goods, and small comforts of home were all packed securely. The flight plan was straightforward: fly from their base in the American sector, follow a designated air corridor over Soviet-controlled territory, and land at Tempelhof Airport in the heart of Berlin. It was a route they knew well, a path they had navigated many times. The crew, a mix of seasoned veterans and fresh-faced recruits, went through their pre-flight checks with practiced efficiency. Each member knew their role, and they moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine. There was a sense of camaraderie among them, a bond forged in the close confines of the cockpit and the shared experience of flying in a world still healing from war. They joked and laughed, easing the tension that always accompanied a mission, no matter how routine. Little did they know that this seemingly ordinary mission would soon transform into a terrifying ordeal, forever etching their names into the annals of Cold War history. As they took off, the sky seemed to darken, and an uneasy feeling settled over the crew. The routine mission was about to take a deadly turn, one that would test their skills, their courage, and their resolve in ways they could never have imagined. If you found this story compelling, make sure to subscribe and like the video for more incredible tales from history. Your support helps us bring these stories to life. Thank you for watching.